Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are all well. Let's get into it. Prediction time for the tomorrow's two big fights. First, we've got the legends. Or first, we'll have Dubois Joyce, but the legends. I want to make the. I want to talk about the legends first. They deserve the respect that they've put in over the years. Listen, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I know everyone's poo-poo-pooing it, and you know what? The other day I saw like the rules of the fight, and there was like no knockouts and no and I was like, they can't, if there's a cut, they'll stop the fight. I was like, what kind of nonsense is this? I was like, this isn't a fight. I'm not looking forward to that at all. And I thought, really, I ain't watching it. The promoter straight away came out and said, this is false. This is false news. Knockouts are allowed. Listen, that would be ridiculous if there's no knockouts. What's the point of having a fight if there's no knockouts? And that put a lot of people off, but that was false news. Now the promoters come out and said that there are knockouts and there will be a winner announced at the end of the fight, right? That was the other thing. There was going to be no winner at the end of the fight. It's an exhibition fight. That's going to put people off straight away. That's going to get people turn off the telly or not buy the pay-per-view straight away because they're going to think it's some like glorified spar. Why would someone want to watch that? There's no knockouts, cut and the fight's over, no winner announced. What's the point of watching it? We're not watching a spar. We can go in the and gym and what, that's nonsense. Will people want to watch them spar? No. We want to see a proper fight. We want to see punches landing, people getting knocked out. That's the whole point. That's what boxing fans watch. We want to see skill, talent. We want to see Roy Jones' speed, movement. Whether he still got it, I don't know. But that news really, I don't know whether. Here's the thing. There'll be a lot of people that will be put off by that. Because even though the promoters come out and Mike Tyson has debunked the false reports, people are going to think this is a cash grab. Which I don't think it is. I always thought that news was nonsense about knockout. How do you expect Mike Tyson to go in the ring and not look to knock somebody out? Like, that's just not possible. Let's be honest. That's just not possible. Because Mike's going to turn into Mike. It's a bit like telling a pit bull, not to fight when he gets in a scrap. Like, that's just not going to happen, is it? Mike Tyson's a monster. And when a punch is landed, Roy Jones lands a punch, Mike Tyson's going to turn into Mike Tyson. So it's good that they've come out and debunked the false reports and that their knockouts are allowed and there is going to be a winner announced, because that would have really put a lot of people off the pay-per-view. No one's going to want to watch a pay-per-view that's, there's no winner, no knockouts allowed. That's not boxing, as far as I'm concerned. The whole reason why we want to watch Roy Jones, Mike Tyson is because of that intrigue to see who knocks who out, or will Roy Jones be too fast? Will Mike Tyson power be too much? We want to see that. We don't want to watch a sparring session. So it's great that the promoters come out and debunk the false reports. I don't know who put that together and who got that the rules for that particular fight will be that. I don't know who leaked that. I don't know where that came from. It's definitely concerning, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans will be put off by that just because of the fact that fans are going to be like, oh, is it a case where they're trying to con us to buy it? I don't think so. I don't think that would be wrong of a promoter to do that. It's not going to happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be knockouts. There's gonna be a winner announced. It's gonna be a proper fight. Yes, it might be an exhibition bout, but it's a proper fight. Both Mike Tyson's making $10 million and Roy Jones making $3 or $4 million. So it's on pay-per-view in the UK. So obviously they're obviously not stupid putting it on pay-per-view. They know people are gonna buy it, and people will buy it. Don't get it twisted. People will buy that because it is a big fight in terms of the names. In terms of these two names are two of the biggest names in the sport. Mike Tyson, after Ali, for me, was the second most famous boxer ever after Muhammad Ali. So this pay-per-view is going to sell. Everybody wants to see Mike Tyson. In terms of the prediction and the fight and how I think the fight's going to play out, a lot of people think Roy Jones is going to win. They think that Roy Jones has been fighting recently. Roy Jones is still active not so long ago. Mike Tyson's not fought for ages. How's he going to look? To be honest, I think they're both way past their prime. So I think what made Roy Jones, he's not got that anymore. Of course, he'll still come out and still be good because it's Roy Jones. You know, he's not completely finished. But we saw at the end of Roy Jones' career that there was guys that knocked him out that shouldn't have really knocked him out. We saw, a horrific knockout when he fought Enzo Maccarinelli, and then I believe didn't he get knocked out to Denis Lebedev as well? Or did he get knocked out to Lebedev? I believe he did. So these are guys that in his prime that wouldn't have been able to tie, Roy Jones's shoelaces. He would have absolutely smoked him. But he lost his reflexes, lost his speed. Because let's not forget, Roy Jones had a unique style. In his prime, he made fighters look foolish because he was so fast. His reflexes were so good. I remember, I can't remember what fight it was when he had his hands behind his back and he hit the guy with a right hand before the guy even saw it, and he knocked him out. Roy Jones was a special fighter, and there's no doubt about it. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time. Sixth division world champ, went up from light middleweight to heavyweight to win a world title. The guy was a great fighter, great fighter. I think him going to heavyweight then coming down was a big problem for him, and I think that probably maybe finished him off. Otherwise, I think Roy Jones would have been. Roy Jones would have had his longevity. We would have been a bit, he would have been able to, in my opinion, have a lot more longevity in the sport. In terms of this fight, Mike Tyson's obviously needs no introduction. He's a legend. What he did in his prime, he was the most feared man, probably in boxing history. Him and George Foreman were probably the most feared fighters of all time. And people lost the fight before they even got in the ring. I actually think Mike Tyson had more of an aura than maybe even George Foreman. Mike Tyson was a beast, if I'm honest with you. This fight, I'm predicting Mike Tyson wins by stoppage. I don't think Roy Jones's defense and reflexes are what they were, and I think Mike Tyson's obviously not as quick and as fast and as good as he used to be. Of course, he's over 50. However, I still think Mike Tyson's power and strength is going to be too much for Roy Jones. And I think when he lands on Roy Jones, I think it's good night. I think there's guys that, I think even right now at the 50 plus, Mike Tyson looks in great shape. You're going to see a very sharp Mike Tyson and a very hard-hitting Mike Tyson because Powers doesn't leave. And Mike Tyson, if he tags Roy Jones, I believe Roy Jones is going to get knocked out. I think, we saw Enzo Maccarinelli and Denis Lebedev, and listen, of course, they were guys more fresher than Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson, even now, has got serious power. And as we saw him hitting those pads, I know they were pads, and pads don't move, pads don't hit back. But I just think when Mike Tyson lands on Roy Jones, which he will, because Roy Jones hasn't got the foot speed, or he hasn't got the movement he once had. So and his reflexes are nowhere near what they once were. I believe when Tyson lands, I think that's it. If I'm honest with you, I think if Tyson goes in, he lands a couple of big shots, I think Roy Jones could be in serious trouble. And I think Mike Tyson will be able to suck up Roy Jones's punches. Mike Tyson always had a very good chin throughout his career. I feel like even when he got knocked out, it was more due down to fatigue than, not him having a bad chin. His chin was very good throughout the years, if I'm honest with you. So I think Roy Jones has got... I think Roy Jones is going to get knocked out. That's my prediction for this fight. I think Mike Tyson's too big and too strong. And I think both of them being past their best, I think the guy with the power and the guy that relied on speed, movement, reflexes, I think that's diminished a long time ago. And I believe the guy that has the power is going to win the fight. And that's Mike Tyson. He's the bigger, stronger, powerful guy. So I'm picking Mike Tyson to knock out Roy Jones. In terms of Daniel Dubois, Joyce, I think it's a brilliant fight. It's a fight that's really intriguing because Daniel Dubois' resume is not that great, but he looks great. He looks great. He looks unbelievable, Daniel Dubois. He looks like an absolute beast, like militant, really. He's an unbelievable specimen, big, strong, can punch. I think his boxing ability is underrated. He showed in the Latte fight. I know it was Latte, but he showed he had a good chin. Joe Joyce is a guy with a lot of experience. He's a silver medalist. He's fought the better men, and he's had to. He's a lot older. He has had to jump in the deeper end a lot quicker. For me, he's obviously more accomplished than Daniel Dubois. He's got a great chin. He's got a great engine. He keeps coming. But I think the reason why Joe Joyce is such a massive underdog in this fight is because he doesn't look great. To the casuals, or even to the hardcore fans, he doesn't look great. He doesn't look great at all. You know, he looks very average. He looks very slow. You know, he just everything about his style. His style is very boring, and he's not the most exciting fighter in the world. However, he can fight. Winning a silver medal, you don't do that. They don't give out those medals. You know, he beat Brian Jennings, and Brian Jennings isn't no pushover. Brian Jennings is a very good fighter. He beat Bermane Stiverne. I know it was a well past his best Bermane Stiverne and overweight Bermane Stiverne, but he battered him. You know, and he beat Brian Jennings. You know, apart from that body shot in the first round, I thought he won quite comfortably. So, for me, I think it's a very hard 50-50 fight. It's a 50-50 fight. It's a fight that's got me intrigued. I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people are saying Daniel Dubois early and Joe Joyce late, just because Joe Joyce has a good engine. I do see the fight that way. I'll tell you why. Because I feel if Daniel Dubois isn't able to get Joe Joyce out there in the first 6 rounds, that means Joe Joyce has 8 Daniel Dubois punches, and he can take Daniel Dubois punches. Unless Daniel Dubois breaks him down, and I think Joe Joyce is tough as anything. I think he's hard as nails, right? If this fight goes past 6, I do feel that Joe Joyce could start dogging Daniel Dubois and take him out later on in the fight. I do feel that way. However, I think Daniel Dubois is a special talent, and I've always been very high on Dubois. I've been very, very high on Dubois, right? I've always been a fan, and like I said, I've not been such a fan of Joe Joyce just because of the fact that of the style and the fact that he's slow and he doesn't look great. I do think Daniel Dubois is special, and I think because Joe Joyce gets hit a lot and he's slow, I don't think Joe Joyce has come up against anyone as powerful, as strong, and that as punches as hard as Daniel Dubois. And I think with the style that Joe Joyce has got, I think Daniel Dubois will stop him. Because I just don't think with the style that Joe Joyce has got against a big puncher that put combination punches together like that Dubois puts the punches together very well, right? I feel that Daniel Dubois is going to stop Joe Joyce. I don't believe what I've seen so far from Joe Joyce in his professional career, I don't think that's going to be good enough to beat Dubois. Just because of the things I've mentioned. He's strong, he's powerful, he's big. He punches, he's got good combination. He puts good combinations together. He's fast, he punches very hard. And I just think Joe Joyce hasn't come up against anyone like that. And I think he'll get stopped. But like I said, it's a 50-50 fight, and that's just my prediction. I feel the fight could go both ways. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if Joe Joyce wins. It wouldn't, because Daniel Dubois is untested. Daniel Dubois is young. He's not as accomplished as Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce has got a lot of experience, so there's a good chance he could also beat Daniel Dubois. It's a 50-50 fight, but my head and heart is kind of leaning towards Dubois just because I think he looks a beast, let's be honest. But I know it's been against lower level opposition, but even Joe Joyce against lower level opposition to me didn't look that impressive. But again, he doesn't have a style that's going to come across very impressive. However, it's very effective. He may not look that good. He's very effective. This is why I think he could beat Daniel Dubois. I just think Daniel Dubois is special, and I think Daniel Dubois is going to go all the way and become a world champion. I might be wrong, but that's my prediction. I believe Daniel Dubois will stop Joe Joyce in probably about 4 or 5 rounds. Might go a little later. But that's my prediction. Leave your predictions, guys, below. Let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to win both fights? How do you think it's going to happen? And guys, remember to please like the videos. I really appreciate the fact that you're liking my videos. I'm getting more views. The algorithm helps the algorithm. So I really appreciate that, guys. Thanks for all the support over the years. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.